All right, recording.
Recording. Welcome you all. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know people in here. It's crazy. I feel older. All right, welcome. Thank you all so much for coming to our college and career planning night for 9th and 10th graders. We know questions are starting for you and maybe for your kids, so the purpose of tonight is just to give an overview of the resources and research tools at your disposal so that you know what to do when those questions start. Yay, I love babies. Okay, here we go. Your first resource for this journey are the counselors at school. So I want to make sure you know who we are, you know who to go to with questions. Anne-Marie McAfee and Jessica Smith, you met on the way in. Hopefully you already know them. They are the full-time counselors here, who you will see the most over the next few years. Jen Chaplin is right there, and she wears lots of hats at the school, but she helps a lot with our Next Steps team with our blog and communications and research, and she videotapes us at all of our events, which we love. The last two, Andrea Reeves and myself, my name is Cindy Turner. We are part-time counselors here. We mainly work with seniors in the application process, so you may not see much of us for a few years, but senior year you will. And Andrea couldn't make it tonight, so that's our team. We want to make sure you know about some wonderful resources that are available to you. Jen keeps up with our blog. We have a great blog. We encourage you to go look at it. There's some articles on there, lots of great tidbits and things to know for the college planning process. So please go check that out. We also have a Facebook page, Twitter, and of course the Crier app. So start connecting with us if you just want information that's specific to the Next Steps planning process, college and career planning here at CSD. Make sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter. All right, so how do we do this? You all have 9th and 10th graders. How many 9th grade parents are in the room? They're all over here. And 10th grade parents? Okay, spread out. Now raise your hand if you've been through this college thing before, you have an older child. Okay, so those of you who don't have an older one, look around, and these are good resources for you as well. Connecting with other parents who've walked this road before can be helpful. But we do this a lot. So these are some ways that we guide students toward their best fit. The first thing is seminar, and we'll talk more about our graded seminars as we go through this evening. Informational workshops like tonight. Every September in high school, you'll be invited to a parent night. There's 9th and 10th is together, and then a junior night and a senior night that's more specific to their needs. We'll also have informational workshops around financial aid and other special topics throughout the year. In junior year, we do meet individually with students to help them shape their list of best fit options as they go into their senior year. We have something called U-Visits, which are also known as teacher work days, but they're days off school that we encourage students to go start visiting campus. We have a number of college representatives here at CSD all the time. We'll talk about Naviance in a moment, but there's a list on Naviance where you can see all of the colleges that are coming on our campus to meet with our students almost every day, it feels like. Really, at least 3 days a week, there's a college here coming to meet with our students. And that's really a great opportunity for kids just to go and hear what they're saying. They don't have to talk. They don't have to do anything. They can just go listen in and be exposed to some different kinds of colleges. Internship and independent studies, another way for students to explore their passions, their academic interests, ask their own questions, and go forward on their journey. And then the parent book talk we'll discuss more at the end. We have a mission statement, our CCCT, the Career and College team here at CSD. We say, in guiding students towards the next chapter of their lives, we honor each student's individuality and potential by sharing their hopefulness, celebrating their aspirations, identifying possibilities, and opening doors. And that really is how we view this process, to help students find their own unique paths. Don't push everyone to one kind of school or one kind of post-secondary option, but we try to help students find their best path. We do have a 4-year college and career counseling plan. So each year it's developmental, the theme for each year. In 9th grade, we try to expose students. We talk about college, we talk about other things after high school, we talk about careers. They just start to hear these things. In 10th grade, we move more toward exploring. They're focusing on careers more at that point, thinking about their own interests, their personality types, how those can play into helping them find their best fits. In 11th grade, they're engaging more in the process. They're visiting campuses. They're interviewing people. They're really looking for their best fit in a more hands-on way. And then in 12th grade, they're evaluating their choices and making some decisions about what they want to do as they decide where to apply. So that's our overview for our 4-year plan.
All right, so just to kind of break down the 2 different seminars we have for 9th and 10th grade, as Cindy mentioned, we do kind of ramp our plan up for students as they go along through high school, so it's not all the same thing down their throat all the time. So in 9th grade, we really tried to focus more on that transition to high school, getting in tune with contacting teachers, with homework assignments, with using those learning labs successfully. They do a book read in there about pay it forward, so there's a big piece of finding their place in our community as well. And then in the spring, they take on the reproductive health and safety education unit in seminar. So that coupled with their PE course gives them that health PE credit. That's a graduation requirement. So 9th grade, while we may not say the word college, college, college all the time to them, they're getting those developmental building blocks to prepare them to do all those other phases in the grades after 9th grade hopefully without creating a level of stress and thinking about that future. Because not every 9th grade student's ready to think about college, ready to talk about that in that grade. So we really try to have that be under the surface so it's not this blaring thing in their head where everything revolves around what you're going to do 4 years from now. In 10th grade, we ramp it up a little bit more, but it's more about exploring their own interests and how those might relate to courses they may want to take later in high school, different internships or opportunities for part-time jobs or independent studies they may be able to foster from those interests, and then ultimately majors and careers and kind of thinking about how an interest in something like skateboarding could turn into, engineering or something like that on down the road. So that's one of my favorite pieces we do in sophomore seminar. We do an informational interview in the spring, so that's something that be on the lookout for that. Your sophomore students will need some help and some guidance with that because we teach them about networking and how to reach out to people they know to help connect them to people that they know. Just like that, we yell at them. To help them find someone in a field that relates somehow back to a current interest they have right now, and just to learn a little bit more about it. We tell students every year that it's fine if you go into your interview and you learn that you absolutely would hate doing what the person sitting across from the desk from you does, because that's valuable information too. So that's something they'll do in the spring. They'll go out in the community and they'll set up a time to go and meet with a professional and interview them about what they do, and then come back to us and share with their sophomore seminar class so that everyone gets the benefit of hearing a bunch of different careers and some different perspectives on how careers and interests relate to one another. So if students ever ask you, do I really have to go to school on Friday? Do I really have to go to seminar? Yes, tell them yes, because there's a lot of good stuff that we give out in seminar, a lot of good things that they get. Like I mentioned, the reproductive health and safety education unit occurs, the curriculum for that is given out through 9th grade seminar. If you have any questions about that or want to come in and review the materials and have any questions about that, I already said that, sorry. It's the third one of these, my brain's getting all loopy. We'll have a drop-in Q&A session that first Tuesday in December before we leave for break. And we'll advertise that a little bit closer to the time, so that way if there are any 9th grade parents in here that have some questions and want to come in and chat about it, that's the time. All right. So like I said, we try not to beat it over students' heads so early on, but that is something that we do make sure that they're aware of that strong start to their high school career, because ultimately, what are colleges looking for? They're looking at the type of courses you're taking. So are you challenging yourself? Are you taking advantage of the most rigorous courses that your school has to offer? Are you taking those honors classes? When you get to that time, are you taking an AP class or 2 AP classes? And then what are your grades in those classes? Are you making sure that you're being successful in those classes that you're taking? All of that ties into that GPA, that weighted GPA, that unweighted GPA, because that's one of the numbers that colleges might be looking at or will be looking at when they get to the application process. In case anyone doesn't know, I'll just review our AP policy briefly. In 10th grade, students can take one AP course. In their junior year, they can take 2, and in their senior year, they can take 3. And we've gotten really great feedback from colleges on that and the balance that creates in our students. And it really helps our students be a little more well-rounded and know how to balance out their lives, and it's not all academic, it's not all extracurricular. There's that nice balance of all of the different aspects, and colleges really like our arts concentrations, and that we don't let students sacrifice those arts concentrations for another AP course or for something like that. Standardized testing, it's one of those necessary evils, it seems, in the world. We'll have in 10th grade, there's a slide about this in just a minute. In 10th grade, students will take the pre-ACT, which is a new version. In previous years, it's been known as the plan, but now it's a little bit more accurately named the pre-ACT. And so that test will get them ready for the ACT that they'll take in their junior year. The state of North Carolina has adopted that as one of their standardized tests for juniors, so it's nice because you guys get a free crack at one of those state readiness tests, or the college readiness tests, without having to pay for it and without having your student have to get up on an extra Saturday morning early because it's during a school day. So they get to kind of knock that out while they're at school. All juniors will take the PSAT, which is the practice SAT, in October as well. And we've opened it up for sophomores, so the sign-up was over the summer, and then the beginning of the school year for any sophomores that wanted to take a crack at it early this year too. Yes?
Do you know when that pre-test is?
The PSAT?
The 10th grade one.
It's going to be the 21st, October 21st.
Thank
you. Yeah, so it'll be on a Friday. Another piece that goes into those college applications are your activities. So what are you doing? So help students to start connecting their interest with ways to get involved. Maybe that's a student-led club on campus. Maybe that's a sports team. Maybe that's volunteering with an organization outside of school. What we're hearing from schools too is they're not necessarily looking for that traditional well-rounded kid where they volunteer here, they work there, they play piano, they are on the honor roll, they're this, they're that, blah, 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 all spread out really thinly across the board. They're looking more at that well-lopsided kid these days. So maybe your kid really has a passion for music, and so a part-time job relates to music. They teach a younger student how to play trumpet. They are in the band, they're in this, they're in that. So that's okay for it to be kind of lopsided to your student's interest, and it's also a lot more genuine when it's that way too. So definitely help foster those activities in your students and make sure that they're keeping track of those. In 9th grade, we don't use Naviance very much with those students, which Amory will talk about in just a minute. But in 10th grade, we do start doing that and building that resume. And so it's really important for you guys to help remind students of what they're doing, so that way come senior year, they're not trying to think back all the way to 9th grade. So that good reminder maybe once a month, once a quarter, to be jotting down somewhere until you get to Naviance what you're doing, so that way they're capturing all of those great things. Recommendations, essays, interviews, their character, those are all other elements that will be evaluated when it comes time for college applications, and that's something that they can start building now. You know, it's building those relationships with teachers, building those relationships with your advisors, showing who you are when no one's looking, you know, helping people around the school to get to know you and you to get to know them is going to help tremendously when it comes to recommendations or looking at evaluations for different things. As far as essays and interviews go, those are things they can kind of file away until the future. But this is another piece that you guys can help students with too. Sometimes when we sit down with our juniors and seniors and talk about essays, they think, oh, it has to be this monumental, life-changing thing that I have to write about. It doesn't have to be. It could be the time you got lost in the grocery store and couldn't find your mom and got really upset and then laughed at yourself because you're a 10th grader getting really upset that you lost your mom in the grocery store, but how you got over it and what you learned from it. So it doesn't have to be this huge thing, but maybe in these next couple of years, you guys can help kind of be the keepers of those little moments that may not have seemed that significant, but in the long run, it kind of triggered something inside your student, or it's a memory that they have that helps build on something else. Those are little pieces that you guys can help them remember, help remind them of come time to write essays. One more thing about the character down there. We try to stress this a lot with our students that, you know, there are a lot of mistakes that students can make these days, and goodness knows students all over the board make mistakes. We try really hard to intervene before it gets to the point where there's not an intervention that can take place and it has to be a suspension or a discipline or something like that. But we do have an obligation to report suspensions on college applications when we send in our reports. So just to have those conversations with your students about, mistakes, not to scare them, not to threaten them, but just to know that 9th grade on counts, even something silly in 9th grade. So just really to think about their choices they're making, and that's something that we try to do here is really get in on that front end before it gets to the point where it gets to that suspension phase, where we can really do the interventions and talk to them and help them learn that there's kind of high stakes to what you're doing right now. So to take a step back and make those better decisions. All right, so I think I already said all this about testing, but here it is in visual form for you. Like I said, this year the 10th graders will have the practice ACT, and if they opted in for the PSAT, they'll have both of those in October within the same week. So the PSAT is on that Wednesday, and then the pre-ACT is on that Friday. And then they'll be done with testing for 10th graders, and 11th graders will have, once they get to 11th grade, they'll do the PSAT for real that year, and we'll cover that. And they'll have the ACT, so they'll have plenty of time to do that testing. And the good news for all of you in the room, unless things change, is that you will only ever know one SAT. If any of you guys have any older siblings or friends that have older kids that are seniors this year and gone through the old SAT, new SAT, which one do I take? You're fortunate that you only have one SAT that you ever have to worry about, unless they change it. But hopefully they won't, since they just came out with it. All right, and Marie.
So we are extremely lucky here, fortunate to, and thankfully to you parents who, through our activities fee and fundraisers, kickball. Just go ahead and say this if you haven't signed up for kickball. But we're really lucky to have some great tools to help each and every student here at our school. And Naviance is one of those tools. And if you're not, first of all, 9th grade parents, raise your hand. Let me see what the breakdown is here today. And then 10th grade parents. Okay, so it's pretty half and half. So if you're a 9th grade parent, you're going to kind of get a preview of what's to come. We really don't want students to get too bogged down in this. As Cindy said, we're really here to expose them and let them learn from the upperclassmen. I think that's one of the reasons why our students are so successful, because our students always come back and teach those lessons and talk about their experiences and what they wish they would have done differently in high school. So, but if you're a 10th grade parent, your students will be having access to Naviance. And Naviance is a company that owns a product called Family Connection that we use, that our students use, and staff members use. In 10th grade, we're primarily using it for the career exploration component. We're going to get each of you parents an account, your own parent account, where you can kind of view, take a bird's eye view of what your student's doing, and the students are actually getting active and getting their hands really, really dirty within the system. It provides a lot of career exploration tools. There's a Road Trip Nation tool that they can use to see where college students have been traveling all across the country, and they do informational interviews. So we're not just talking and telling them what information interviews are, they're seeing college students do it. So it's nice that they can see older students use it. It's not just something they do in 10th grade, it's something that we tell them they need to keep doing it. In 11th grade you do it, 12th grade you do it, when you get to college you do it. And as a 40-year-old, person, we continue to do that. So this is a tool we're gonna kind of walk you guys through some of the functions that you'll see. But each of you should have gotten, if you're a 10th grade parent, you should have gotten a registration code. We're going to give you this slideshow. And we're going to put the video online too. Jen's going to do that in the blog, and we're going to send that out this week. And then you'll see all this, you'll see the website and that kind of thing. So when you sign up on the website, you'll plug in your registration code and you'll be able to create an account and follow along with your students and see what kinds of things that they're doing with us on Fridays. So again, 10th graders, again, career planning. Some things they're doing kind of like a Myers-Briggs personality inventory, because what we really want them to learn is, before they start getting into all the college stuff as a junior, we really want them to learn to look at themselves this year. This is the year we really want them to reflect. Who am I? What do I value? What are my interests? And what's important to me? And then they're going to be kind of evaluating all their activities and seeing if that aligns up with what their interests are and what their goals are, and kind of coming up with some ideas of what else that they can do, to enhance, to build on those interests. So we will need your help, like Jessica said. So look out for those emails coming from us about helping them brainstorm of how they can create those informational interviews. And then hopefully some of the information that they use in 10th grade, we're going to build upon in 11th grade to say, okay, now that you've taken a year to figure out, to not figure out, it's work in progress, but to explore a little bit about who you are. So now let's look and see what kinds of environments, what kinds of colleges or post-secondary experiences might play into that, into who you are. And so, and we'll talk about that this time next year, about that, what that'll look like. And in 12th grade, they are on it every day, because that's how they complete their applications, that's how they request transcripts, that's how they ask for teacher recommendations. They have their resume, they're actually uploading their resumes into their applications. So they're really building upon this tool year after year. So you can actually, when you do log on to Naviance, if you click on, you'll see a careers tab for 10th graders, right? And then you'll see a colleges tab. And so in 10th grade, some of them will kind of explore from time to time on that college. And all those tabs are open to them. They can see those at any time. All grade levels can. But if you click on the colleges tab in Naviance, you can actually see, and there's a little map on there, and it will show you a little bit about all the schools that, you can see where our students have applied and been accepted. So, and if you scroll down, you can keep scrolling down. This is a print screen, but when you scroll down, you can kind of get an idea of where our students are applying and where the schools that they're visiting. And then you can even break it down. You can say, these are the schools where they're attending, okay? And then you can see the 20 most popular colleges for our students. So, and I think the top 5 are Charlotte, Appalachian, I know y'all can't read that, NC State, South Carolina, Chapel Hill, Wilmington, and Clemson, and then it just kind of goes on. So that's to be expected, some of the local schools. So in 10th grade, our college visits, is just as Cindy mentioned, our college visits, when they come on campus, we welcome 9th graders and 10th graders as well, because it's good for our older students to model what kinds of questions they're asking. Our 10th graders, we say, just go in and see what the upperclassmen, what kinds of questions are asking. So that way, next year, when you're 11th grader, you can you're the one that's asking those questions. And you can certainly ask questions, but it's really nice to know they have no skin in the game and it's kind of non-threatening. So 10th graders, we actually require them in seminar to go do this, because we know they need, and parents, we know you want us to. So we're kind of requiring them to go and choose one of those, at least one. And most people choose more than one. Once they do one, they go, oh, I'll try some more.
How did the 9th grade parents find out about the
college visits?
Yeah.
They're on, well, they can, we announce them, we kind of announce them through the intercom at lunchtime, so anybody's welcome to come during that time. So,
How often can they visit? Visits. So it's encouraging to do at least once, but they can do more.
they can do all of them.
Okay.
They can, and some of them do. Yeah, some of them do a lot, visit a lot of them. Because in 10th grade, we're, 11th graders, we're trying to say, go to it. you might think you want a large university, but how do you know until you give it a chance? Go listen to what a smaller liberal arts, because we talk about the benefits of those. And again, that's where that fit comes in. So we really try to encourage them not to box themselves in so early. So great questions. And usually they meet with a rep that is, a lot of times our local rep that's actually reading the application. So we talk about, especially in junior, we won't really talk too much about this as 10th graders, although 2 weeks ago we did talk about what were good questions to ask and what were better questions to ask. For instance, anything that you find on the website, on the front page of the website, it's probably a good question, but we can ask an even better question, if it's, and we kind of brainstorm a little bit about that so they have some tools to go in. And even if they go on college visits, and it's a good idea just to, some of them may be asking to go on college visits. It's very normal for 9th and 10th graders to go, whoa, I'm not ready to do that yet, because it can be a little intimidating. So, I would use maybe encourage them, let's just go do it for fun. We're going on a vacation. Let's just kind of pop in. We'll drive around and just kind of get the feet wet, or maybe take a friend with them to go. But it's really good to do it when there's really no skin in the game. Let's see. So there's an idea of some of the, I know you guys can't see that, but we just had, sorry, but you'll be able to see it. We'll send the PowerPoint this week, and you'll be able to see these. These are just a snapshot of some of the colleges that have been coming in. We've had, Gardner-Webb, Vanderbilt, St. Lawrence, Franklin and Marshall, College Charleston, Rensselaer came Friday, Furman, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, So you guys can see this. So we have a good variety of schools, and more schools. Jessica and I and Cindy goes on college tours all the time, but we've been actually trying to do a lot of traveling and visiting colleges, especially when we get an invitation to go. I know we're visiting, Jessica and I. Cindy, are you going to Virginia tours? We just spent a whole week last fall going up Central Virginia, touring 12 colleges. And, we were there, and I was texting a senior going, you need to come here, so you need to come visit the school. This is right up your alley. So it's really, we're going up the eastern part of the state, up in Virginia. So we really try to build on these relationships, as much as we can. Speaking of, a great opportunity coming up for not current 9th and 10th graders. We have been invited to participate. We're a part of a counselor consortium group. Our Canon, Christ the King, Lake Norman Charter, Pine Lake Prep, South Lake, I'm missing somebody, Davison Day, right. So independent charter schools in kind of the Lake Norman area. We just, the counselors just got together and said, let's get together once a quarter and let's share ideas and find ways that we can kind of collaborate together. And we've been doing that for about 2 or 3 years now, and we've been able to really, it's really great because we've been able to learn from each other. We tour each other's schools, and it's just kind of a great way to just kind of collaborate with other professionals. So one of the things that we had been talking about for some time was trying to organize a tour. We know that it's hard for families, and it can be really hard for families to go visit schools, because where does 9th and 10th graders want to go to college? California, right? That's the first ones, that's what they say. So, it's really hard to visit. A lot of times we tell students, if you can't, if it's hard for you to visit, that needs to be a sign to you that, that if it's hard for you to actually get on campus to visit, it may be hard for you to attend that school. And, but, sometimes students really need to see how far away things are, or, maybe that's something that the family says, we have family in that area, we would love to provide an opportunity to go to school there. So what we've decided to do is to focus on the western part of the United States, and we have put together, with the help of EF Tours, who does a lot of tours for high school and college students. We're going to tour the West Coast, particularly San Francisco, some colleges in San Francisco area, LA. And I can tell you a little bit more about that in those colleges. There's going to be an information session at Christ the King, and we're trying to, if we do it, we're going to need about 6 students from our school, and one of the counselors will be going with them. We're not going to send them without one of us, but they'll be going with a group of other students around there, and the counselors will be attending that in June. So if you'd like more information about it, come see me or email me, and I've been putting it on the crier, so just let us know. And we hope to provide more opportunities, like maybe in the Boston area in the future, so we'll try to offer some variety. But this seems to be what our students have been asking. There'll be a lot of sightseeing and things for them too, so even if they don't decide to apply somewhere, we'll be doing a lot of sightseeing around there. I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about a financial aid workshop coming up too. There is part of what we decided to do. Was get all of our, have Davidson College usually does our financial aid night. And what we decided to do was let's host at Davidson, and then he just does one financial aid night in October for all the schools together. So that is October the 18th coming up, and that will be we'll send out more information about where on Davidson College's where on campus that will be held. But that will be with the Director of Financial Aid there.
All right. One more event coming up in January, you can go ahead and put on your calendar, is our annual Parent Book Talk. Last year we did the Frank Rooney book, Where You Go Is Not Who You'll Be. A wonderful read if you haven't looked at it yet. This year we're focusing on There Is Life After College. So I'm really excited for some of you to join together and read that, and then come on January the 10th to discuss it. You may not agree with everything in there, so it should be a lively conversation. Please mark it down. Last year we had a small but excited group of parents join us, so I hope we can get a few more this year. So grab the book, get it for Christmas. It's a quick read. You'll enjoy it, and we'll meet together on January the 10th. There are some other upcoming events for your calendar. I mentioned U-Visits already, October 31st through November the 1st, a good time to go and see some campuses, and February 16th and 17th. If you have an artist, and you're wondering about the art school admission process, please be aware of National Portfolio Day. It's November the 20th in Charlotte, and you could just Google National Portfolio Day to find some more information about that. And this is where art schools will come and do a review of a student's portfolio, and a student can just come and get an opinion. It's good to do that a little early so they can start getting some feedback and making adjustments as needed. Gap years are being talked about more and more. Gap year is a year between high school and college to do something else for a year. I would love a gap year right now. Anybody else would love a gap year? I think it's a great idea. Step out of normal life and do something else. So students are hearing more about this. Some students spend the year working. Maybe they're not quite ready for college. Some spend the year traveling. Some spend the year doing some kind of service. So there's all sorts of different opportunities. Colleges do really like this. They find that gap year students show up on their campus a year later, but a whole lot wiser, ready to study, ready to make a good investment in their time at college. So think about gap years if you think your student might be interested in that. There's a gap year fair coming up in South Charlotte in February the 12th. And then the NACTAC College Fair is enormous. It's at the Convention Center. It is in March. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of colleges at booths everywhere and thousands of kids. Sounds like fun, right? It's good to go experience it once at least. So put that on your radar for March. It's a good way to hit those California schools without getting on an airplane. So you can visit. And then to close this up, try to have fun. This can be an overwhelming process for parents and students, but for those of you who've been through it before, know it's over fast. It's over before you know it, and you will remember it however it goes, whether it's a miserable, panic-filled, stress-filled process, or if it's fun. And you're going to remember this time in your family's life, so we hope that you will enjoy it. We hope that this process feels magical, exciting, non-threatening, and self-reflective, that students really are launched into their next best step after high school. So try to have fun. All right. Questions? We're going to have lots of time for questions. I know financial aid is going to come up. We'll talk about all that stuff, but go for it. We've got one already.
I've got a couple,
Sure.
8 classes, so I've got a 10th grader, and this has been my question, how important is it to have, she's taking 1, take 2, and take 3, what colleges want to see? You know, 'cause I don't want to stress her out,
No.
but I also, want to ensure she makes a good grade in that 8 plus, so what's more important, taking a bunch of APs or getting A's and honors, say she's a QB in it, if that makes sense.
Right. That's a really individual answer. It's hard to say just a general answer for that. If she wants to go to Harvard, that's a different answer than if she wants to go to Appalachian or Greensboro, so it depends on what her goals are, her stress tolerance, her interests. If kids hate science, do we have to make them take an AP science? No. So you have to line it up with what they love to learn about, and try to push them to the point that they're working hard but not overwhelmed. Do they have to take all 6 AP classes to go to college? Absolutely not. They need to take the right level for them. So that will be something individually to get some counseling with to help choose those best classes. Okay. We don't want to stress them out, but yes.
When we talk about different colleges visiting our school, do you have any Ivy League schools visit us?
Have we had any school visit? Yeah,
We have students attend them.
Right, we have students
training and events.
typically if you get on those school mailing lists, and you can do that pretty easily through their website, you'll get invitations to community events. They often travel in groups, and they will do an evening at a Hilton conference room, and they'll invite students to come.
So how do we sign up for
yeah.
those? Because you're right, I know of a friend that's in a STEM school and they did attend something like that.
Sure. You can go on the school's website.
So
And
is
just-
your school's website?
Yes, you can get on a mailing list.
Okay.
So I know Harvard, Georgetown, UPenn, Stanford, they travel in a group. So once a year they come to the Hilton on Tyvola, and they pack a room with kids wanting to hear about them. And some kids dress up and think they're getting interviewed. It's just an information session. It's not evaluative at all. But those schools tend to do the group sessions more than go to individual high schools. They don't really have to convince students to apply, right? They don't need to market the same way that a UNC Asheville would want to convince more students to come, or a smaller school the kids may not have heard of, where it really is a marketing activity for them to go to these different high schools. But the big, very well-known schools don't have that same need, so they do information sessions. But get on the mailing list.
Yeah, Chapel Hill doesn't go to high schools either.
Yep.
Chapel Hill only does the community events.
They know you love them already, they don't need to bother. Yeah.
Is it too, going into the school, is it too late for, I have a 10th grader, to do the pre-SAT if she didn't sign up already?
The SAT for 10th graders, if she didn't sign
You
up.
can email me, and if we end up having an extra test book, I can let you know, but right now I think we're right at our registration.
Matt?
Is it too early for my 10th grader to be studying for the SAT like Dad recommends, or am I wrong again? Like my wife said,
I would say, is your student taking the PSAT?
she is.
There's a little booklet that's handed out. I think looking through that before the 10th grade PSAT is sufficient, just so they know the sections, they know how long the sections are, just a little comfortable with the format of the test. Then they can take that test, get the score report back, and that's where the fun starts. When you get your PSAT score report back, there's tons of information on there. There's codes that you can put into the Khan Academy site where you can see all the questions, how you answered, how you should have answered, why you should have answered, and then students can really start digging into the specifics. So that 10th grade PSAT can be important for that. But cramming, putting them in classes this early, a little too early. You really don't want to start testing until the middle of junior year, unless they're looking at the School of Science and Math, or there's some specific reason they need to test sophomore year. Yes.
Regarding the PSAT, I didn't know that they had to sign up for that.
That's tip for 10th grade. Yeah, we sent something out towards the end of 9th grade year, and then another one over the summer, then a reminder at the beginning of the school year, the year prior, for an option. And it's just optional. It's pure practice, and they can go on Khan Academy and set up a practice exam on that as well. They can even print off the exam, do it, and then scan it when they're not back to their phone, and they'll grade it for them. So it's not, this isn't the only chance they can be exposed to something. It's just if they want.
Were they asked at school, like were they encouraged by you all to sign up for it?
No, it was something we sent out to parents. It was something we sent out to parents, and parents signed up for it.
Because we don't want to pressure, we don't want all 10th graders to feel like, because it's not appropriate for all 10th graders to be sitting in, to sit in on a test so soon, because, you don't want their first experience to be, because there's going to be materials on there they haven't been exposed to, right? And they just haven't been exposed to maybe in math, and so we just don't want to, just to overwhelm them. So that's why we kind of let the parents make that decision whether or not they want to.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't remember giving it to them like that, but I missed it.
When was that PSAT booklet given out to the 10th graders?
It was given out a couple weeks ago in advisory.
Oh, it was. Okay, thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but from that, 11th grade PSAT in October, those schools go for National Merit Scholarship?
Yes, we've done this before. Yes.
Not done.
No, you've heard of that.
But I
They-
wonder-
Sure, the 11th grade PSAT, for students who score, it's about the top 1% of each state. So the cutoffs vary by state. So it's hardly anyone, but a few kids each year become National Merit semifinalists. We've had a few over the last couple of years. Then they do some more application activities and try to get to the finalist stage. But for 99% of us, it's not, there's no benefit in that score.
When can they go do the college visits when they're here at school? Do they go over lunch?
They're often during lunch. I think we try to make them during lunch as much as possible, and students can go to the classroom and someone will come and deliver their hot lunch to them. They don't have to stand in line if they got hot lunch, so that's a perk. So we try to make it during lunch. I think sometimes that's not possible for the rep to make that happen, so occasionally there's a time they could get out of class. But most of the time they try to make it over lunch. No money questions yet? Come on. Yes.
This is actually about the slideshow. Did you say you're going to send that out to us?
Yes, it's going to be on the blog, that Next Steps blog. If you Google CFD Next Steps blog, you'll find it. It's a WordPress blog.
So if we're already signed up for Next Steps, we'll get it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're going to post it on the fire so you guys will get it.
Yeah, if you subscribe to the blog, when I update it, probably tomorrow or Thursday, you'll get an email saying that.
The other thing too, like, before we go on to the next question, just a note of that, because I know how, I know the choir's like a ton of information on there. So here's what I would recommend, if you really want,
information to about, you don't want to miss any information on the college planning piece. Jessica and I both have a Facebook page, so everything we post on the choir, we post on our school counseling Facebook page first. So that way, if you're looking for something that's college planning related, instead of going to the choir and searching for it, it might be easier just to go to our Facebook page because there's not as much, you're not having elementary and middle school, so that might be a little more helpful to you. That's why we put that together. And also my Twitter feed, we put everything we put on the Facebook page, we put on that Twitter feed. So those places, connections are on the, are on the PowerPoint too, so you'll be able to access that.
So you're saying you have a Twitter account too for just you, the college?
Yes, for
Okay.
just college, for just college planning.
It was on
pieces.
that
It was on that first slide, so when you get that, you can kind of, plug away at some of those, the ones that you want to. So that might help a little bit, and once you get on Naviance as a 10th grader, once you sign up for Naviance as a 10th grader, 11th grader, 12th graders, the 11th and 12th graders' parents will really start to get a lot of emails from us specifically because we can email you through Naviance, but it'll be college planning, it'll be college planning specific information only through those emails. So I encourage all of you, if you're a 10th grade parent, to use that registration code and go ahead and log in and create your account, start becoming familiar with that too. So, yes.
You'll hear more about colleges putting less weight on SATs, so much so that some of them don't even require them for the admissions process.
I was reading today that now half of the top liberal arts colleges in the United States are test optional. And you can go, there's a website on there, fairtest.org, where you can go on and see an entire list of colleges that, that will look at you more holistically. And, even App State, which is a state school, because a lot of times, states, schools, especially the larger schools, are looking at those numbers, right? Appalachian, which is a pretty large school, they have told us, that if you have a student, if you do not want to be, your test scores to be a significant part of the evaluation process, we expect a resume and we want to see personal statements, and we want to view you a little more holistically, but you've got to give us that information. And so we walk the kids, and those resumes are really important. So as a parent, you can go on Naviance and see what they're doing and just help them. We're encouraging them to say, Mom, Dad, can you think of anything else I can put on here to add to that? And
For the test optional schools, it's great. I'm a big fan of them. But kids need to know if there's no test scores, they're looking even more at grades from 9th grade on. And so grades become even more important. And that's the thing you can't change later. So it's just very important.
And I wanted to say just another note about AP, AP classes as well. The AP classes, I would tell you, we had a student that, got into, got into every school he wanted to go to and came to me his senior year, and he said, I feel like I need to take 3 AP classes, but while he was applying to college, registering for his classes, he said, but it was the first year they offered math classes, beat making class, and he said, I really want to take this class. I've been looking forward to it. I am so busy, and I just want, it's going to be therapeutic for me. And I just looked at him and I said, listen, what do you have left to prove? You have an A in you have nothing left to prove by taking one more AP course. And sure enough, he got into, and I was able to help explain that in a college recommendation, his choice, and it was deliberate, it was intentional, and again, it was, he wasn't playing the game, and he got into every school and got some huge scholarships at some schools too. So, we just had breakfast with Chapel Hill, and they said, they've been doing a lot of research for the last, 5 to 10 years on AP courses, and, right out of Chapel Hill, some of the research that came out of that was, the students who take 5 AP classes, that take more than 5 AP classes are not successful their first year, not any more successful their first year of college, after the first year of college, than they are if they take more. So 5 years was, like I said, we see no benefits, and when students start taking more than 5 AP courses or 6, we don't see the grades, we don't see the payoffs. So, and they're giving up, they're burning out, and they're they're giving up the things they enjoy. So you had a question about how do I know? When a student comes and says they're giving up a beat making or doing something, that's a sign to me that, well, we need to regroup here. If you're trying to take a class just to take the easy way out, that's a different conversation, right? But when you're stressing out at night and you're staying up till midnight, that we shouldn't be doing that. We've got to have another conversation. And because you don't give up the things that you love to do, that's what's going to be important, and that will shine through an application. It will shine through an application. So.
I know that North Carolina State, they have in the design school, they have a summer camp that they do, and I think it's really important for those kinds of sort of misunderstood types of careers, to have those kinds of experiences. Do you guys help coordinate those or pull that kind of information forward, the type of stuff they can be doing over summers?
Yeah, we 10th graders just did this summer. I wasn't in there, right? 10th graders actually just spent a whole period in seminar talking about exploring. We gave them resources about where to find summer experiences. And in Naviance, let me show you, I have it pulled up here too. So there's when you click on we have a Live Binders, I'll show you what it is. When you go onto your account, this is what your account looks like in Family Connection and Naviance. And there's this is also on the blog too, it's called our electronic Live Binder, it's our Live Binder. And it's just an electronic notebook. And all of our resources, anytime we have a cool opportunity or idea, we put everything on here. Scholarships, financial aid information, college search tools, gap year, and there's actually a place here for summer programs. Students have access to this and parents have access to this, so we really try to get the students in this and delving in and figuring out how to find those things. And also, we'll be happy to sit down. You send your student. I had one student today right before lunch that came in and said, I'm already thinking about summer, and I said, take a breath. But we pulled up, she was driven that way, and having 3 boys, I don't know that I understand that so much, but I appreciate it. We pulled that up and looked over that. So just feel free to check in with one of the counselors, and we'll be glad to kind of help your student through that.
How do parents get access to
this Naviance, if you're a 10th grade parent, we're going to give you a registration code, or you can email the counselor, and we'll make sure you have a registration code. And on Naviance, there was a slide on there that gave you the website on how to log on and create that account using the registration code. Again, email your counselor, email one of us, and we'll be happy to because we can do it through just a really quick, send you an email and you'll have your registration code. So feel free to do that if you accidentally lose your. Yeah. And the Live Binder, this information here is on the blog, and that's what we'll send out. Is that not, I think it's a.
It will be tonight.
Oh yeah, I thought we put it on there. So.
But it is on the CSC website.
Yes, okay. So we've got it kind of hanging around everywhere. So if you, if you can't find it, email me and email one of us, and we'll be happy to find that for you. Yes.
So there is a ton of information. You guys have a ton, and when I was going through this with Em, I got overwhelmed. She found at a point where she was like, Mom, I'm taking care of this in seminar, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm here now because there was stuff that she said she was taking care of in seminar that come time for doing scholarships and stuff, it was too late. And so I'm going to have a little bit more of a thumbprint on this one. Where are the best places for me to stay focused on to make sure that I'm keeping up with what needs to be happening?
One of the things that you can do is you can kind of follow along in their Schoology, like in their, if you click on Schoology page for their seminar pages, what they're doing every week in seminar, you can see like a syllabus, you can see what we're doing each week. Because we have a plan in our head where it should be, and not trying to jump so early so it stresses them out a little bit. So we have a I think we have a good developmental plan. So if you follow along in what they're doing, you might generate some conversations on a weekly basis or a monthly basis on, tell me what you're doing. So that might be a really good place to start.
So school would be for following what he's doing in seminar, but then for the information, going to Nadia or going to next steps or all the different.
Right, so like scholarships per se, I mean, you can start on scholarships most any time, but most people usually end up start working on them after they finish their, after they, put in their college applications, because a lot of deadlines are January and February their senior year, but there are a lot of scholarships out there. But we'll show them these tools, and there's a whole section in here of scholarships, and we'll give them time. I know in senior seminar, that's one of the things that they're working on in senior seminar is, and it's again how they, it's how they choose to spend their time, but you'll be able to at least follow along to see what we're doing, so you can say, hey, what did you, what did you find out, or what did you discover there?
I will say that some of the best advice that you guys gave was to look at scholarships and have kind of research for that during sophomore and junior year.
Right,
So that they could go and do it well. Senior year hit and she just.
It's so much to do, right.
But I thought that was really good advice from you guys, and I was trying really hard to kind of go with that. So I recommend going to their.
Or the summer. Yeah, the summer is a really great time going into your senior year to do that.
This is just jumping way ahead, but I just thought I would clarify the truth of this. A friend told me yesterday that having your child apply early admission if the decision isn't binding is a good idea, because there's more scholarship and financial aid money available.
Right, if you're applying to schools where you think, and we'll kind of walk you through trying to find those right schools that would be a good fit, where you might, if you need scholarship money and merit money, where you might be competitive for those, for those. So you would apply early action for, or priority deadline for those. And that kind of thing, we'll walk them through their junior year when we're conferencing with them and really advise them. Not everybody should apply early. I mean, if you're planning on taking the test, taking the test several times, or if you need to pull up your grades and wait a little bit, longer to do that. So there's some situations where, it might not be advisable. For the most part, if you're trying to apply for scholarships, it's a good idea to apply early action. Most of our students, I think, are applying early action. I think, when did we have, we had about 90% of our students doing applications, I think, before December last year. So, yes.
I was just wondering, on the transcript, if I understand it correctly, a 90 is an A, a 99 is an A, right?
Yes, that's right.
So, your GPA, whether you're all 90s or all 99s, would be kind of the same, but do colleges kind of dig and say, well, this person earned low 90s and then this person earning upper 90s, or is it A and A, they don't care if you're 90 or 99 or 95, or,
I think they're looking at so many different things. We don't do pluses or minuses here, and if our school doesn't do pluses or minuses, they're not going to look at that. They're going to look at your.
Yes. About community service, I know that that's kind of a big part for college admissions.
What was that again?
Something like community service.
Oh, right.
And, volunteering, and is now the time when they need to start keeping track of everything they're doing?
Right.
Like, does it have to be through an organization that would sign off on it, or?
No, they don't need to. CSD doesn't require service hours. And in fact, as a senior, when Jessica and I have to fill out a school report on every student, and it gives them information on that student within the context of our school, like our AP limits, things of that nature. And one of the things that the question asks now is, does your school require service? Okay. So, and of course, our school does not require service. So they're looking at our school and they're saying, well, our students do a ton of service. You know, they're out in the community. We're in a great community that values service, and it's just easy for kids to find opportunities to do so. And, you know, and schools love that. You know, they love it. And we say as long as you're doing something that you enjoy, I mean, that's really what we stress. Because if they're doing something they enjoy doing, they're going to keep doing it. And that's why colleges see the difference in somebody who's done something several years, because they're really doing it because they enjoy doing it, not because, and then when they get to their campus, they're going to enjoy doing it, or something similar to that, and they're not doing it just to check off a box and fill in a resume. So.
Starting to have the option to build more of a resume type of an application. Would you steer somebody who might be discouraged by the process of taking this standardized tests? Is there any harm in doing it, I guess? If they choose not to submit those scores?
Yes, that's where the test optional school, if you even go on site and you know, search fairtest.org, that will come up with a list of many schools that don't require testing. And there's something, you guys especially going to be hearing a lot about this too, and we didn't really talk about this because it's so brand new, but there is, and it's down the road, because we don't need to be talking about college applications so soon, but you'll hear it as a parent. You know, you've heard the Common App and the Common Application, and that's what our students are now. A lot of our students are using that website as a way to complete one single application, and it goes to multiple colleges, participating colleges. And we have a handful of colleges in North Carolina that participate in that. It makes it really, really convenient for our students. There is another similar system going out there that's a lot of colleges are kind of toying with and experimenting with right now, called the Coalition. And I know Clemson, Chapel Hill next year may be using it, but again, it's designed for that purpose. But they're still up in the air about, they've got a lot of tweaking to do with it. And some schools have even put it on hold for this year. But it's kind of designed to look at a student more holistically, and to give students, it was really designed to give students that are maybe in like other parts of our rural parts of the country who don't have advising or test prep resources that want to be looked at in a different way, so they could submit papers and submit things like that. Verdicts out about, you know, how that's going to work yet. They're still, it's great ideas, but they're still kind of working on it. So you'll hear about it, and we'll kind of update you as, you know, on the status of that, if they're wanting to use that or not. Some schools aren't using it.
I'm going to throw something out there because I had the same question a couple years ago. My daughter's at Chapel Hill, looking at, she has crazy stress and anxiety, and looking at the numbers, she was on the side of the bubble where she didn't think she was going to get in. And these guys said, don't freak out about it. There are a lot of schools that look holistically. And I bow to you guys because you kept her calm about it, and she ended up getting in. And there's also this whole thing with, I don't know if they're still doing it with the new SAT, but are they still doing super score? So that it's kind of like the, whichever test works better for them. So it balances out, so try to not freak out too much about the numbers.
So your students will have an opportunity in 11th grade to take the PSAT. In 10th grade, they're going to take the pre-ACT, right? So they're going to be exposed to the two different kinds of tests. And part of what we will do when we meet with them as juniors is look at the testing they've already done and say, wow, you know, you seem like, you know, you have you're probably going to test better on the ACT, and you still don't know until they take it a couple of times, because this is their first time warming up to. But they always, you know, improve, just I think by exposing them to it, and the pacing and getting used to the pacing. We offer the test prep class in 11th grade, so they will be able to, Jennifer Merrick, who teaches that class, and that really exposes them to what the directions are, because sometimes half the battle is knowing what the directions are, so I don't have to spend that time thinking about it, and I see those questions, I know what they're asking me to do. And so just sometimes being exposed to it helps with that test anxiety too. So we'll kind of walk them through all that too. Yep. So if you have any individual questions, we can stay and answer those. But just email us if you have troubles with your registration code, and we'll send out this website. We'll send out the PowerPoint so you'll have the website and you know how to log on. And again, always email us if you want to set up an appointment or have some specific questions. So thank you guys.
Thank you.